Hey guys, this is Kyle. Most of you guys are going to know me by the name Cowboy Up. I've got a couple of messages from 2 or 3 of you guys that I thought maybe I should just make a video instead of trying to show you somebody else's. I've said it before once or twice. I sharpen knives just out of my home shop, which is actually out in the garage. It's cold out there, so currently we're in my kitchen. Just kind of wanted to share with you guys the process that I go through. I know there's right ways and wrong ways to sharpen a knife, but as we like to say here, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. That applies to this. This is one of many correct ways to sharpen a knife. I've got a lot of customers that are real happy with my work, so I guess if you guys don't like it, don't sharpen your knives this way. I hope this helps. This video is going to be taken in several pieces because I can't edit video as well as I can do other things, so I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to take some videos, shove them together, and show you guys what's happening. First off, I'm going to show you my setup, which I posted pictures of the other day, but has been lightly modified. I picked up a contract with a local restaurant the other day to sharpen their knives. So I took all my small sharpening objects and I attached them to a piece of laminate countertop that I got at Menards for $1.50 yesterday. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Hopefully this video turns out decent. Alright, we're going to start off sharpening a couple of my wife's kitchen knives. I did the most of them the other day, but I left a couple. Don't ask me why, I don't have an answer for that. What we've got is a couple of Chicago cutlery. They're non-stainless, they're just polished carbon steel. They're really good knives for the price for kitchen knives. I do recommend them. Not that I know a lot about kitchen knives, but it's a knife and it cuts. I know a little bit about them. What I've got here for my sharpening setup is I've got some Smith stuff. Now, I didn't do a bunch of homework before buying these. This one was a gift. This one, I want to say I bought a year or two ago and never used it until recently. It's what has been given me, and it's what I'm going to use. I've just had really good luck with them. I know there's better products out there, but for the amount of money that you'll spend, I think these are kind of the way to go. I want to say you can pick up this coarse stone, comes with an Arkansas hard stone. I want to say you can pick it up for $12, $13 online, maybe less. This Smith 3-in-1, which as far as I'm concerned is pretty much a 2-in-1. You can buy for, I want to say about $30 on Amazon, maybe a little less. And I really like it. It's good stuff. One of the things that's really important, and a lot of people don't know, is you need to use some sort of lubricant or even WD-40, which I don't really care for WD-40, but even that'll work. You need to use some sort of lubricant liquid on your stones, because as you're grinding, this will float away the stuff that you grind off instead of plugging up your stone. If your stone gets plugged up, it's not going to do its job anymore. So it's really important to use stuff like WD-40 is probably just the easiest thing to do. Rem oil is a good one. It's got to be something very, very thin that'll float stuff away. I use currently I'm using Smith's honing solution because I've got it, I'm going to use it. I bought it on a whim thinking I'd try it, and I like the stuff. It works well, and it's cheap. I think I paid $3 for this little bottle at a local woodworking store. We're going to start out with a smaller, basically just a steak knife, paring knife, whatever you want to call it. It's got the factory grind on it, which is decently sharp. I don't know if you can see the edges of that or not. It's got some grind marks in it from the belt where they ground it at the factory to sharpen it, which put a decent edge on it, but not good enough. If you were to hold this up and try to shave your arm, you might get a little bit of hair off of your arm, but you're not going to get anything really impressive with it. It's just not good enough. Not to mention this has been used, so it's probably more dull than it was when it came from the factory. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of this honing solution right here, and we're going to just put that on our whetstone. This is just a real basic coarse whetstone. I want to say it's like 320 grit or something like that. It's nothing too severe, but it's going to do a good job of grinding this steel down. So what we want to do is we want to set this on here, and we want to pay real close attention to, I know it's kind of hard to see, I'm sorry, of what angle you're holding that at. And what you want to do is get the same angle that's on it still on it. You don't want to change that. This is a basic 20-degree bevel on this. So we're going to lay it down flat on the stone to start, and we're going to tip it up until the edge just touches on the stone. And like I said, it's kind of hard to see. I apologize, but you can tell when you roll that knife back and forth if that edge is contacting the stone, and that's what you want. You want it to just contact that stone. And you don't want to use too much pressure, but you have to use some, otherwise you're just going to drag it across the surface. You're not going to do any grinding. You want to actually remove material from the edge of this knife. So we're going to start at the hilt and we're going to work towards the point. We're going to drag it towards ourselves, not away from ourselves. We want the stone to move into the edge of the blade, not away from it. Otherwise you'll create a burr. Which isn't always a bad thing, but in this instance it would be. So we're going to get this at the correct angle right here, and then we're just going to pull it. We're going to do this 3 or 4 times on both sides, so we get a nice even grind. I'm going to do one more. Clean it off and let's see. Let's make sure we got all those factory grind marks out of it. So all the factory grind marks are vertical. If I hold the knife like this, they are straight up and down. Okay. What I want is all the marks that are in there from that to be gone. I want that blade to look like it got drug, just like it did. So it looks like there's still a couple of the deeper ones in there, so we're going to go ahead and do the other side, and then we're going to come back and do this side again. We may do this just 2 or 3 times. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Need to use a little more pressure there. That one didn't do so hot. The downside to sharpening kitchen knives, as opposed to other knives, like your hunting knives, tend to be a lot more rigid. They don't flex, and these kitchen knives tend to flex a little more, which makes them, to a degree, a little more difficult to sharpen. Okay, this back side here needs just a little more work. A lot of people just use water on their whetstones, which will work, but personally I prefer to use some sort of lubricant. If you're sharpening stainless knives, it's not as big a deal, but anytime you sharpen anything that's non-stainless, which the majority of my personal knives are non-stainless, that can actually start to rust in your stone, not to mention on the blade if you don't lubricate the blade right afterwards. So I prefer to use some sort of non-corrosive lubricant. And I know I'm not as fast as a lot of people, so I'm sorry if this is a long video. Looks like we did a good job. I don't see any of the factory grind marks in this blade at this point. The grind looks to be about the same on both sides. I don't know if you guys can see the difference on this or not. It's kind of hard for me to see what you can and can't on this small video screen. So I think I got the majority of them out. Looks like there might be a couple up here at the front yet, but those will come out when we get to a finer stone. They're pretty thin at this point. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I've got an Arkansas hardstone that came with this set here. Okay, it's a finer grit. It's probably close to, I want to say this one's probably a 600 grit, whereas ceramic stones are going to be like, my ceramic stones are 1,000. I've got different ones than what came with the actual 3-in-1. I got some 1,000 grit ones. And then I've got a 720. This is a fine diamond right here. It's a 720 grit. I think it's 720. It's pretty close to that. But this Arkansas hardstone's about a 600 grit. So I stepped it. I went from this being like a 320 to this being like a 600, and that's a big step, but it's good enough. I mean, I'm just gonna use some of that lube right there, and I'm only gonna do this a couple of times because I don't particularly care for this stone, but I want to step it just a little bit. And this thing does remove some material, but it's just not as efficient as, say, a diamond or a coarser stone. And all I'm doing is just trying to grind out a little bit of what this left in it, the marks from that. So it's not like I have to spend a lot of time on that hardstone. I just kind of want to run it over a couple of times. Okay, so the next thing in line is the next finer stone, which in my case would be this Smith's 3-in-1 with the diamond. The diamond stone is in the neighborhood of 700, 720 grit. It's pretty fine. I'm not going to put a lot of effort into using this stone because most of the work has already been done. All I'm trying to do is gradually take the scratches out of the blade, and it's going to get sharper and sharper every time you do. This is the last stone we're going to use. After we get done with this stone, we're going to go to the ceramic sticks. Now, a lot of you are only going to have one sharpener. You're not going to have them all. I recommend this one just, if you're only going to buy one and you're on a budget, this is the one I recommend buying. The other stone that I had is also Smith's, but it's not fine enough. It doesn't put the edge on it that you're going to want. All it does is remove a majority of material, and you don't always want to do that. Sometimes you just need to put a quick edge back on it. Your knife's not dull, it just needs realigned, whatever. These ceramic sticks are great for that. If you get a nick or a ding, you need a coarser stone. This isn't going to take out a big nick or a big ding. It doesn't remove enough material from the blade of the knife. But if you just get some scratches in it, or you just think it's time to grind it again, great, it's wonderful. This also has a pull-through carbide sharpener. I don't use it unless I'm desperate. I'm good enough with a regular whetstone at this point that I don't really use it much. I don't have any use for it. They can damage your blade, but at the same time, any damage that's done by that can't be fixed. It's not that it can't be fixed by another stone, so it's just not a big deal. I just don't prefer to use it myself. So I already did the coarse stone. I did the Arkansas stone, which to me is a medium stone. It's fairly fine, but to me it's a medium stone. Next we're going to put it on this diamond. Same thing, use your honing solution. Don't ever forget the honing solution, because that's going to help maintain this stone and keep it sharp. So we're going to do that, and we're also going to get some coffee because that's more important than anything. Alright, so this is the same basic principles as a whetstone. You set the blade down on there at the right angle. You do the same, to me, I use the same procedure. I set it on there fairly flat, and then I kind of bring it up to the edges, just touching. And we're going to do the same thing. You're going to drag it back towards yourself. And we're going to do just 2 or 3 on each side on this knife because it's fairly sharp. And you'll hear it removing the material. You can just kind of hear it dragging and grinding. And then you're going to want to take a look in the light, make sure it's doing its job. It looks like we're doing really good. We got the majority of the scratches from the larger stones out, and we'll do the other side. We'll just do, again, just a couple of swipes on the other side. I'm going to do another one on that side yet. That's starting to look a little bit better. I'm getting happy with it. Now at this point in time, this knife is what you would consider decently sharp. For a steak knife, it's good enough to go back in the drawer. But for the sake of showing you guys my procedures and my recommendations for sharpening, we're going to go ahead and keep doing this until we've got a mirror finish on this blade. So the next thing we're going to do is the ceramic sticks. Okay? This is set up at 20 degrees. This is a 20-degree bevel setup. This is a 20-degree bevel knife. This works perfectly because you hold the knife straight up and down. You don't have to tip it one way or the other towards the sticks or away from the sticks. You hold it straight up and down. Okay, before we start this, I've got something important to tell you. Whether you want to believe it or not, there's more than likely a burr on this blade. It's going to be pushed off to one side, likely the side that you last sharpened on the stone. And it's really easy to tell when you're listening to your sticks, because if you can't feel it, which actually on this knife right now I can tell which side it's on, but it's very, very small. So if you weren't able to feel it, you could hear it, and you may or may not be able to on there, but it's going to have a deeper tone on the side with the burr. It's going to sound like it's trying to work harder on that side. So I put my fingers on the sticks so they're both pressed tight. Keep your hand up above and out of the way. And you're going to start at the hilt, work towards the tip, and you're going to hold your knife straight up and down, pull it back, away, and down at the same time. Then you're going to do the other side. And you're going to do that with a very small amount of pressure, not much, until it sounds about the same on both sides. And right now, the side furthest away from me, this side here, this is the side that's dragging just a little bit harder. This is the side that I can hear the deeper tone in, so that's where the burr is at. When they sound the same, then you know that your burr has been straightened and it's realigned, and that's the sharpest edge of the knife, is that small burr. And that kind of helps buff away some of the scratches from the previous stones. Whatever this left, this took care of. At this point, this knife should be more than good enough to go back in for a steak knife. We're going to go ahead and try it out here and see what we get from it. Quite a bit. That's not bad. That's a pretty sharp knife. Starting from getting none to going to that, that's a pretty sharp knife. But we're not done yet. We've got more to do here. We are now going to switch over to the back strop. I'm going to reposition the camera and start the video back up, so give me 1 second. Alright, this is a back strop. All that a back strop is a piece of leather. Sorry, another coffee break. That's really important for me. Piece of leather in and of itself may or may not get the job done. I don't know. I've never tried it. I always use some jeweler's rouge. Okay, I went to the local saddle shop. I got a friend that runs the Tandy Leather local place. I got horses, so they do leather. Always leather handy. For you guys, might be easier to just go to the thrift store and pick up a leather belt. I use the smooth side of the leather. There's a rough side on the back. I've never used the rough side. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. I just prefer to use the smooth side. I don't necessarily have a reason for that. But jeweler's rouge is just like a big crayon. You're just going to kind of color it onto this leather, and you're going to have to use some pressure. And I use plenty. I don't skimp on the jeweler's rouge. This piece of jeweler's rouge is about a $3 thing. It just comes in a little plastic bag for $3.50. I think I paid for it at the leather shop from Tandy Leather. You can buy this stuff online. Most of your hardware stores, like if you have an Ace or a True Value, a lot of those will have jeweler's rouge. Okay, there's different colors of jeweler's rouge. There's black, green, red, white, and I think the lighter the color, the softer the rouge. So like white is going to be hard. This is going to be the finest grain rouge that you can get. It's just like sandpaper. It's got different grains. The harder, the finer, okay? This is very, very hard, so this is going to be a very, very fine. This is going to put almost a mirror finish on the bevel of this knife. Okay. For most practical purposes, red is perfect. I just there wasn't red when I went to buy this, so I got white. Next time I go buy rouge, it'll be red. Red is a little bit softer. You're probably going to burn through it a little bit quicker, but it'll do for anything that we're doing here. It'll do a great job. This is for like. Really, this is for doing jewelry. This is how you put like a perfect sheen on a diamond ring. It's great. For what we're doing, it's a little bit of overkill. Red would work just fine. I think there's black is fairly soft. That might even be good enough. Personally, I like red, but I only have white, so we're going to use white. Okay, for this, it's super simple. You don't have to keep a specific angle. If you get it too flat, you're not going to be doing any good. If you get it too steep, it doesn't matter because the leather is softer than the metal, so it's going to kind of shape itself to the bevel of the blade. So if you kind of take a look at this, and I don't know if you guys can see, it looks like it's a fairly decent blade. There's still just a little bit of scratching up here, but it's not enough that I'm going to worry about it for what we're doing. If this was a knife for another customer, I would have taken a little more time to do it, but not for this. This is just my wife's steak knife. I'm just not going to care that much. Only the best, right? Okay. You're going to hold this knife and you're going to use some pressure, probably more pressure than you used on the stone. You're going to drag it backwards. You're not going to push it into it like you normally would. You're actually going to take it on the blade and drag it backwards. This is called back stropping because you're moving backwards. I mean, I know you guys are smart enough to understand that, but I like to state the obvious, so let's roll with it. Okay. You're going to hold it at whatever angle you find appropriate because it really doesn't matter. You're going to use plenty of pressure for this. I'm probably going to use 2 hands because I want enough pressure, and this is kind of a flexible blade. So hold it, and you're going to pull it back. And as you're pulling it back, it's going to leave a gray tinge in your rouge and on your leather belt. Uh-oh, my board's moving. Okay. And you're going to do that. You're going to do that, I don't know, 10, 15 times, whatever you're comfortable with. It really doesn't matter. And eventually, it's going to drag a little harder at first, And after a couple of swipes, it's going to feel like you're just sliding across the leather. At that point, you've done all the work and you're just gliding it across the top of the leather, which is fine. The more you do it, the shinier of a result you're going to get. And that doesn't look too bad. I probably should have spent a little more time on the ceramic sticks with this, but I'm going to just go ahead and roll with this for the sake of time. And we're going to go the other way. You're going to set it there, and you're going to pull it back towards you using plenty of pressure. I don't know what everybody else does when they're backstropping, but when I get done backstropping, I clean my piece of leather off and I don't leave rouge on it. And I always clean it off and apply new rouge after I get done with the knife. Sometimes I'll reapply if I decide I want to keep going with a knife and I feel like my leather's getting plugged or it's not doing as good a job anymore. I'll clean it off with a paper towel and I'll reapply the rouge and start all over. I know some guys that'll put rouge on a piece of leather once a week and sharpen 20 knives. I don't think that's good enough personally, but I don't know, I might be wrong. I'm not a professional, I'm just an enthusiast. So a lot of times it'll pull some of the rouge off the leather and it'll leave it stuck to your blade, so you want to make sure you clean that off so that you can kind of see what you're doing. And if you do this well enough, you'll be able to see yourself in the edge of this blade. This one, like I said, I didn't take enough time doing it right everywhere else to make it perfect, but it's not too bad. Hopefully that can be seen. And at this point, this knife should be exceptionally sharp. So let's see. Oh yeah, that thing's bad. I love it. Pretty sharp knife, I'd say. Not bad for a steak knife anyway. It'll get the job done. Let's see if we can do it again. Oh yeah, that thing's a monster. Look at that. It's not too bad. Going from not being able to do it at all to darn near shaving it bare. That's not bad. So that's how I sharpen knives. If you want more specific videos, or if you feel like this was the worst idea I've ever had, let me know. Give me some feedback. I don't mind making videos, whatever you guys want. If you want a more specific video related just to the Smith's 3-in-1 start to finish, I'm happy to do that. Whatever you guys want, you let me know. So thanks, and I hope this helps on some level.